Hi everyone, I found the perfect shirt for Yin. So welcome. Today we're going to do about 4 poses and we'll start with a short meditation and end with a short Shavasana. You might want to have a chair available with no arms or a table or something you can sit on if you're unable to lunge on the floor. Okay, so make sure you have that. All right. And we'll just start with a short meditation to center ourselves before we practice. Okay, so if you want to sit on a bolster, to lift your hips a little higher, feel free to grab that so we can sit comfortably. And then letting the chin drop, just pulling it back a little bit to lengthen our spine. So if you want, you can close your eyes. Just letting our breath be nice and full and deep and even. Relax the belly, the hips, the shoulders, the jaw, the tongue. And draw a nice deep inhale all the way down to the pelvis. Feeling the muscles gently expand. Feeling those muscles gently contract as we exhale the air back up to the heart. And breathe in and out through your nose, or in through your nose, out through your mouth. Whichever way you prefer. Just letting our attention rest inside. And into this present moment. You can open your eyes if they're closed. And our first pose is deer. So just fold your right leg back and your left leg in front. If this isn't available to you, you can just have this leg out like that. You won't get the benefit of the hip rotation, but you will get the twist that we're going to do. So, yes, just letting that hip relax into the ground here in the spine. You're able to move your foot a little bit farther away and still have your hips on the ground. And find the place that's just right for you. This is quite an intense internal rotation of the hip. And then we'll bring our left hand behind us. I'm going to change my orientation so that you can see more easily. We'll bring our left hand behind us and pressing up. Follow with that right hand and come into a twist. So the leg might move a little bit, and that's fine. I just kind of spiral back here into a twist. And you can back and down to help your neck. Feeling our breath massage the internal organs. Bring ourselves down to our elbow. You might like to have some pillows or a bolster for under your torso. You can see if you're going to need that when we get down to our hands. So we'll bring our ourselves all the way down with our hands stacked, resting the forehead or resting your head on your hands. And here's where you might like to bolster your torso. So I'll just show you. You can have a couple of pillows here to lie down on. So that will sort of make it easier on your shoulders, okay? Or whatever works for you today. And just stay here for a while. It can be a little bit of a strain on the left shoulder, so feel free to bolster yourself if you need to. So this pose really gets into our gallbladder meridian. It runs along the side of the body, and the spleen meridian too, as well. The gallbladder is responsible for making decisions and carrying them out, working in tandem with the liver. So you can rise back up to the elbow if you like, or you can stay resting on your hands longer. Anytime you want to stay in a pose longer, just, pause the video. So for the sake of time, I'm keeping the poses within a couple of minutes in length, a few minutes in length, but feel free to, stay longer if your body wants to. And then you can bring yourself up all the way onto the hand if you like. Let's keep the arms straight. And then you can bring yourself around slowly back to facing forward. I'll shift my body around. And just stay here for a little while, letting your hip relax into the ground. A few breaths. And then you can bring your hands behind you and lift the knees up. Bring them close to you, and hands behind our hips. We'll just lean back on the hands here and open the heart. If you want, you can lift the hips up if that's available to you. And lower down. And we'll do the other side. So folding the left leg and behind, or as I mentioned, having it out here if you need to. Just find the closest to the deer as you can get, and bring that right leg in front. And the hips settle into the ground. And if you're able to scoot your foot a little farther away, whenever your hip allows here, just find just the right place. Obviously, our knee is really torquing here too. So another option is you could put a pillow under there, a small pillow or fold it a towel as another option. Something to just help that knee be more comfortable. So we'll bring our right hand around. And if you're using pillows or a bolster, make sure you have them ready. I'll change my position a little bit. And then the left hand comes around. We come into our twist, looking around, just spiraling back. Maybe looking down a little bit to help the neck. Whatever it takes to make the neck more comfortable. Yin is an opportunity for us to go inside and just be. Just be with what is, whatever sensations, whatever feelings, whatever thoughts arise. We greet them with total acceptance and a mild curiosity. So if you'd like, you can come onto your elbow. There's various options in here, and you can do any of them that you prefer, really. You don't have to do it exactly the way I'm doing it. It's just a kind of a gradual way to get into a little more stretch and twist. You can always just stay on the elbow or stay up on the hand. And you can come all the way down onto the hands with a bolster, like I said, underneath, or just come onto the hands here. Whenever we get into a twist, we're also stimulating the stomach and the spleen. If you'd like, you can come up onto your elbow, or you can stay on your hands a little longer. You can come up onto your straight arm if you like. And stay in that twist for a little longer. Not really a good thing to do if you have a full stomach. So make sure that you haven't just eaten a meal when you're doing a twist, or most yin poses for that matter. And then you can slowly bring yourself around to face forward. Or if you want to pause the video and stay longer in any of those variations of deer, feel free. And we'll just sit a little bit longer here to let our hips relax into the ground. Notice if there's any resistance. You can just breathe into it. Breathe into any resistance you might feel here. Or come out of the pose if it's too much. Okay, so we'll bring ourselves around to face, I'm going to face this way, I think, and we'll be doing caterpillar next. So if you need to sit on a bolster or a blanket with our legs extended out from our hips, if your pelvis rotates that way at all, you want to make sure that you bolster your hips enough. So whatever it takes so that your pelvis can come forward, right? And you might like a little bolster under your knees too, if you have, tricky knees. So we'll bring ourselves forward and just let your arms come forward, but don't pull yourself forward. So we want to just slowly bring ourselves into this forward fold position. You also might want to have a pillow under your torso so you can relax forward. So you can grab that if you want. And just noticing which direction your toes are pointing. See if you can point them up instead of, sometimes they turn out or in. Notice if you can point your toes up so the legs are parallel. And if rounding forward doesn't work for you for whatever reason, just keep your back more flat. And maybe if you have SI joint issues or something going on with your low back where this might be too much for you, just really dial it back. Just come way up here and let a little bit of stretch happen. It doesn't have to be the full amount. Or if this is too much, no matter what you do, it's still too much for your low back, you might want to substitute with a butterfly pose, where we have our soles of our feet together, and you can try that and see if that's more comfortable. So we want to play with our edges here, find your edge, whatever it is, and just notice how that feels. Notice what comes up physically, emotionally, mentally. Our edges are not only physical, but also emotional and mental. And to always respect our edges. And they might change from day to day. Your body lets you go deeper into a pose, and just follow that. Or if there's any pain at all or tingling, please come out of the pose. You don't want any nerve tingling. That's a definite no-no. Okay, so we'll gradually walk ourselves back up to sitting. And bring the hands behind you so you can just wiggle your legs or bounce them around. Just kind of a little bit. And then we'll be coming into dragon next. So that's the lunge. So I'll show you the option. If you're not able to do it on the floor, you can sit on the edge of your chair this way and stretch. And you're also welcome to have bolster under your knee. So I'm going to give you the easy version here. Or the most gentle version would be this. Because what we're going for is really the stretching here. Okay. So you need the bolster for that. And so just basically, and then if you're on the mat, we're bringing, left foot forward, our right leg back, or you can start with your left leg back if you like, and your right leg forward. So also you can bolster under your knee. So we'll come up onto our fingertips with one hand on either side of the foot to start with. It's a good way to get into the pose and just start to let your body get used to it. Just finding whatever amount of lunge works for you in this moment. You might want to tuck your toes to help make it a little bit easier on the knee. This is another option. Dragons is pretty intense. Lunges are very intense on the hips, so if your breath starts to become labored at all or short, you can dial it back or come out of the pose by straightening your leg and just maybe leaning forward on it a little bit like that, and then coming back in. If you like, you can bring both hands inside the foot, just sort of going a little bit deeper, a little bit lower. And you might be someone who could come comfortably down, all the way down to your elbows, like that. And if you are, well, feel free to do that. Or if you prefer to stay on the hands with your arms straight, just staying with the breath here. Of course, you can come in and out of any of the variations. Another variation which adds a little bit more pressure is to bring your hands up to your thigh and rest on top of the leg like this. This adds a little bit more pressure because of the weight of your torso. That's another option. Feel free to go in and out of any of the variations. Or to come come out of the pose altogether for a moment and then come back in. Okay, so we're going to just straighten that front leg and just do a quick little stretch here. Just let your torso relax down on your thigh. Like I said, you feel free to pause the video and stay longer. And then we'll switch sides. So if you're on the chair, you're just going to turn around, right, and do the other leg. If you're on the mat, you might want to bolster or put something under your knee. And we'll come up onto our fingertips here, this side of the foot, just like a dragon, finding the amount of lunge that feels just right. Might be different on this side. Just letting that hip relax. So, since it is a very intense groin stretch, you feel like it's too much. You don't want to pull any of those groin muscles, right? Because they can be a little bit tricky. You don't realize you're doing it until after the fact. Right? So just be very aware of how far your body wants to go. Just listen to your body. So you can bring your hands inside the foot if you like. You can come down onto your elbows all the way onto the mat if you like. That works for you. You can always come up and put your arms on the top of your leg. And try different options, see which one you prefer. For me, one side is different than the other. So, be aware of that. Definitely a very intense hip flexor and psoas stretch here. Which is a wonderful counterbalance to all the forward kind of bending positions we tend to do, right? Even sitting on a chair, right, tightens those hip flexors. Or sitting in any position because your hip flexors are shortened. It's good to stretch them out. Also stretching the gallbladder and liver and kidney meridians. And since we're on our weight on our arms, getting into the upper body meridians as well. Feel free to come out of the pose if you need to take a break just by straightening the leg. You need that, and then coming back in. So we always want to find just the right place to hold our pose. So we're putting enough stress that our tissues don't atrophy, and then not too much that we're causing degeneration. So finding just the right amount of stress for the tissues. And then if you want to come back into a little runner's stretch and rest your belly on your thigh here for a moment. Feel free to pause the video if you need to go longer in the pose. And then we'll come back around to sitting on our legs. If you're able to sit on your feet like this, and if you're not able to sit like this, then I'm going to turn sideways. Okay. Then you might want to put something here, like to bolster between your thighs and your calves, or something between your knees to sit down on. And we're going to tuck our toes to start with. See if you can put some pressure on your toes. Do a toe sit this way, or all the way up onto your heels if you're able to do that. But if your toes can't handle any pressure, just go ahead and sit like this, right? But if you can, just get a little bit of pressure at least to stretch the toes. Yeah. Just a little bit would help. It doesn't take the whole thing. I'm noticing my toes don't like it as much as they used to. Right? So I tend to go forward a bit. Yeah. A little toe sit here. We're not going to spend very much time in this pose. You don't need very much time in that pose. And then lie your toes down if you are in this toe sit, and sit on your feet just for a moment. Relax your, just this is a gentle ankle stretch, just by sitting on your feet, as well as putting some compression into the knees and the legs. And like I said, if you can, sit on a bolster to make it so you're higher up and putting some pressure on your knees, even if it's just a little bit. That will be very beneficial for your knees, because I know a lot of people have knee issues and can't completely fold the legs in half. But any amount of pressure will really nourish the connective tissue in the knees joints and also the knee joints. So if that's possible, you want to be able to come into some sort of I call it a saddle pose. It's not the full saddle thing. It's the leg part. Okay, and then I'm just going to go ahead and do a very short Shavasana. So find yourself comfortable on your back. If you want to put a pillow under your head, under your knees, cover up with a blanket. You just want to integrate. We didn't do very many poses, but it's still really important to integrate after doing yoga. So make yourself comfortable, and we'll just spend a little minute here. Okay. If you want, you can put one hand on your heart, one hand on your low belly, your lower heart. I will simulate a heartbeat. And the heartbeat of the drum correlates to the heartbeat of our body. The heartbeat of Mother Earth, Gaia. Just having your hand on your heart brings attention, awareness to the heart. Just offering a love, compassion, and gentleness to our own hearts. Will help to heal our planet. Simple. So feel free to stay in your Shavasana or slowly get up. Bring our hands together in gratitude and humility. Thank you for joining me. Have a wonderful day. See you next time. Namaste.